Who's got the juice?
Yes, sir.
What are you ordering?
I actually haven't played a 6-teamer or a 2-team 6-pointer in a while.
The little? You haven't ordered the little?
I haven't ordered the little.
Been at the juice bar for 6 weeks. You haven't ordered the little?
I haven't ordered the little in a couple weeks.
I'll hit a little 2-team tease. That Giants overseas we'll talk out. That's a great game to tease. But Week 10 slate, a little bit over the halfway point here. Talk to me about the juiciest matchup you see on this weekend of games.
Yeah, week to week, it's now the Detroit Lions. I am so fascinated and enthralled by how they've been playing ball. They have been unbelievable.
Wearing their colors on your noggin.
Coming in, that was my Super Bowl pick to win. I knew they'd be really competitive. I knew Goff was set up to be successful with how many indoor games he was going to play. Ben Johnson stuck around, his offensive coordinator. He didn't have to worry about learning new verbiage or a new offense. They have been better than advertised. They went to Green Bay in a rainstorm. Goff wore 2 gloves and was still dealing. That was something I would never say about Jared Goff. So the most riveting matchup for me is the Lions, who are now favored, playing Houston.
Yeah, 3.5.
Coming off a really bad loss, but extra rest.
Yeah, 10 days.
They need a win. That's the most riveting matchup. The Lions going to Houston to play Coleridge, C.J. Stroud, and that gang. They have to figure out what to do with the offensive line. They looked bad against the Jets. That's the most riveting matchup for me.
Any chance Lions maybe come out a little, I don't want to say flat, but just from a betting perspective, I guess if you're bobbing and weaving, you probably take Texans with the points at home, but this is a wagon.
This would be the
wagon.
Classic sell high, buy low spot. 3 and a hook at home. The total's 49, which I think is way too high. I don't really get that because the Texans can play a little D. And Coleridge has been having a hard time, C.J. Stroud, making plays because he's under so much pressure all the time. They're number 1 in pressures allowed, number 1 in rate allowed, time to throw, bottom of the league. Like, the offensive line has been really bad for the Texans. But I can't fade the Lions right now. If it's either Lions or nothing for me.
All right, I like it.
Really quick, I have another riveting matchup. Should I bring it up? Do we have time?
I mean, we got time. I got to throw you mine. I got to talk it out with you.
Yeah, that's true.
But we can go back to yours.
It might be the same one. What is it? What's yours?
It's the Jets.
Oh, no. That wasn't it.
What?
Okay,
far away the Jets is the
juiciest.
For me, at least in this area of town, in the football world, it's the Jets at the Cardinals, which, again, we've seen the Cardinals at State Farm in 3 1-point spread situations.
Yeah.
They smoke the Rams in a 1-point spread at home. They smoke, I guess you'd call it, the Chargers, who don't score anything but dicker field goals on Natty TV in a 1-point line again, 1.5-ish. Here we are again with a 1-point line-ish. Is this a trap bet, or am I just seeing green figuratively and literally because Reddick is back on this line? And this team, to me, is finally getting a scheduling break, and I love a W here.
And Arizona is probably getting a little too much love for beating up on the Bears, who quit and have absolutely no leadership. They looked a lot better against that win looks a lot better than it probably should because the Bears have absolutely nothing
Do the Cardinals look better than they should? Do the Jets look worse than they should? I feel like the Jets are turning a corner. I think we are underplaying a 40-year-old dude having 3 games in 11 days to start, 2 back-to-back road trips already, and an overseas London dance, and we're not even at Thanksgiving. What was Goodell doing?
Well, we talked about that. They didn't play a regular game all the
So
first
now we're settling down. Now we got some 1:30 starts. To me, I think they're going to rattle off some wins.
I told you yesterday, I bet the Jets over 7.5 wins. So we're on the same page.
Well, I'm on them to make the playoffs. I need more optimism from you.
I bet it before the New England Patriots game, though. I thought they would win that game. That was a freebie, quote unquote.
Sure.
And then I really liked the matchup against the
Texans.
Got
7.5?
7.5 before the Patriots.
They're hitting 8 wins. Don't worry about it.
Texans came to fruition. They beat them up. The line, the pressure they were going to be able to generate was too much for them. They got the W there. To play devil's advocate, though, because I do like the Jets to rattle off some wins, this is what we do as fans and as media members in the NFL. The Jets played 2 good quarters. They absolutely blew the game against New England. No business losing that game.
Yeah,
they lost
statistically an anomaly.
Then they come out against the Texans on national TV.
Corley.
First half is a disaster.
Deshaun Jackson Jr.
People dropping the ball early. That would be an automatic cut, unless that was one of my superstars. He would have
the Corley play?
Yes, he'd been benched right then. He'd be off the team by the next day. I'm not joking about that. Like, those type of things don't happen on really well coached, disciplined football teams. Just doesn't. It wouldn't be allowed. It wouldn't be accepted. So what we do here is they've turned a corner when, for being honest, it was 3rd and 18, and Garrett Wilson made a catch we've never seen in 10 years.
Jump man.
If he doesn't make that catch, this could be a completely different conversation, right? So them turning the corner is interesting because they literally put up a pressure rate against one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL, and C.J. Stroud couldn't get anything off. They had no Nico Collins. They had no Stephon Diggs, and they scored a couple touchdowns in the second half where they went to Devontae Adams.
So you don't really.
And now the corner's turned. Pipe down a little bit. We'll see how they show up in Arizona. I will say, it helps the psyche. It helps the feeling in the locker room.
Won in a month.
I listened to Rodgers on McAfee. Like, man, we really needed that win. That really helped us. They're feeling a little better. So we shall see.
I just think this team is clearly not well coached to this point. But you listen to Rodgers on McAfee talk about Brick. It seems like he's they like the guy. A lot of these locker rooms, I feel like, get divisive and get different efforts from different guys based off leadership. This team really, you could sit here and say, couldn't have had worse leadership out the gate. Not a lot of accountability. A lot of penalties, double digits, plural, in the first month of football. Yeah. So because they found every wrong way to lose, maybe we're optimistic. But
before we move on, I'll give you my other riveting game.
Oh, yeah.
I won't talk too much about it. Steelers going to Washington is going to be
I was talking about
an unbelievable game.
Next one, absolutely.
Okay, let's talk.
Yeah. No, all good.
Yeah.
6.5 point line in Germany. We're wrapping up overseas. For a man that just went to El Clasico, went overseas. Don't know if you swung by, grabbed the bratwurst in Germany. But all things Panthers off probably one of the bigger rankings of the book last week. Outright 7.5 point dog at home, beating the Saints. Coming into this one where the Giants, shout out our guy Zach, alluded to. Defense didn't show up. Offense did. Normally it's the opposite for this team. You expect a get-right spot for the Giants.
It's a perfect spot for the New York Giants. Bryce Young finally got a W. They're feeling a little good. Now they have to travel to Germany and play a defensive front. That's really good. And the offense, I still trust Daboll overall with the idea and the scheme to at least scheme up some points. There's an under 17.5 point team total for the Panthers out there. I don't think they score very many points.
That's a sharp play.
In Germany against this defense. And also, the number being 6.5 tells me a lot.
Because it does seem overinflated.
Sure.
But then what we know about looking at lines, that's probably correct, and the Giants win by a touchdown or more.
Giants going over late, flying Thursday, straight into practice on Friday.
You like it? You just did the travel.
Some people like getting there a little earlier and setting up the week and hanging out and getting acclimated a little bit. The Giants decided not to do that. Typically, throughout these foreign games, these London and Germany games, the earlier you get out there, the better you fared.
Yeah.
But overall, this is a good spot for the New York Giants to get a W. It's Giants or nothing. I think they do win the game.
I like it. All right, let's talk player to watch here this week. You just alluded to it. Mine was going to be Daniels versus the Steelers D.
Yeah.
I mean, because Daniels is they're kind of over there in Washington and went out and got Lattimore, so really tried to get even better at the deadline, which I love.
Yeah.
They seem like they're taking a little bit of that Texans playbook with CJ. 2 interceptions for JD his entire year. Top 3 QBR. He's taking care of the football. They're not great in their red zone, though. Pittsburgh, Tomlin, coached up D that typically gives rookie quarterbacks a tough go. This is my matchup, my favorite one. Jaden Daniels versus Steelers D. That's plus 10 in turnover differential, 3rd in the league.
If you're a historian, this is always a spot the Steelers win. Mike Tomlin as an underdog, going on the road versus a young quarterback. This is always a spot that the Steelers win and create turnovers and get pressure. This is always a spot.
Mispriced line?
Now,
proper line.
I like the Steelers.
I'm completely with you.
It's on a full field goal. I think it should be under that. I'll say this. it got wiped under the rug and forgotten about because of the Hail Mary against the Bears, who still have one of the best defensive units in the NFL. They didn't look very good offensively against the Bears.
No, they didn't.
They couldn't really move the rock at all. This is, I think, an even step up in class to the Bears, maybe.
Oh, defensively.
The Steelers team.
Yeah, my Bears are top 60.
So when we're talking about the matchup that Jaden has to see, this is different. T.J. Watt is going to be different coming off the edge. I don't necessarily know if I could back Jaden Daniels. Asking Jaden Daniels and the Commanders to win on margin against Tomlin and an underdog, I'm not interested in that. I like the Steelers in this.
Yeah, I'm with you. Anything else you're looking at? Just MVP race? Any other just players to watch?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that will the Chiefs lock in or look ahead to Buffalo? They have to go to Buffalo next week.
Broncos split with them last year.
Yeah.
Shout out our guy Ben.
But we're talking about game of the season probably next week.
Yeah.
In Buffalo, Chiefs, Bills, the history of that. Are they able to lock in, hunker down, or are they going to have a little bit of look-ahead syndrome to Buffalo and try to get prepared for that? Because, yes, they're undefeated. Yes, they're 8-0. And Pete pulled a actually really interesting number yesterday. Was the last team to be undefeated in the NFL hasn't won the Super Bowl since 2006.
Yes.
They are the last undefeated team standing. So that's interesting. Every single you should go pull up the numbers of Pat Mahomes on first and second down versus third and fourth. It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
On third and fourth, he's perfect essentially.
It's like first half, second half.
Second, it's just like he just kind of messes around with people. So I'm interested to see if they can lock in, and then I'm interested to see how they set up for next week. It's almost one of those spots where a loss might do them better. Like
wow.
might be the undefeated talk and all that is a little bit of a distraction. I'm not saying they're going to lose, but I'm interested to see how they come out with the big game ahead in Buffalo.
NFL Week 10. Juiciest takes.